Classic.
It never gets old. All right. Let me go close these doors.
And they can
I'll
see
be
our.
right.
I don't have an intro screen anymore, so like they could just see us.
Oh, just like that, huh?
Mhm. I don't. I'm running the Hobo Kitchen still, like the Hobo Soup Kitchen off the fucking mobile. The mobile Beats Lab is a hard drive that I carry around with me.
Oh, I see.
So like, the whole operation's being run off of this little external with all my
Noticed there
assets and
was
everything.
a new intro.
Oh, I don't got shit.
Well, it was good.
Now I'm painting Wyatt's Angron.
You like I ran out of content.
Mm-hmm. I think I changed the titles though, didn't I?
I
Whoops.
don't know for tonight.
I feel like I did.
GW had a lot to say today. I'm gonna log into this.
I changed it to 40K meta is broken.
Okay.
We're looking good. Beat ups Terrain Forge. Facebook user says I've been clickbaited by that fire headline. Right out the gate.
What's the password? Oh,
I was explaining to somebody how I make shit up, like, and I just lie. Because somebody was asking me about, like, you're out of content when I was paying the other day, and they're like, what the fuck? And
absolutely not. You're like, and now we're gonna pick Angron, and I'm like, yep, there it is.
like, yep. Kenny, that scamp straight line to our faces, and still somehow he's allowed to fucking lie. Make shit up.
What? Yeah, but 301 redirect. He's spitting out a redirect. We are caching it. I've gone ahead and turned.
Anthony on YouTube says knee deep in Hell Divers. I can't miss the podcast. Hell Divers sounds metal. B Dubs says Kenny is the chat GPT of 40K Twitch. Just making shit up. Do you agree with that, Rob?
I think you
Or does chat GPT would take offense to that?
uh I don't know how to tell you this, but I think chat is a little bit better than you, Kenny.
That's what I was getting at. I was like, I kind of feel like I'm worse than. I'm like,
You're like a setting. You're like a setting that you can click to be like, all right, now I want this to sound like Florida hobo.
yeah. I'm like
You're
a chat
definitely on.
GPT filter plugin.
Oh yeah, you're a filter for sure, bro. Like you're like an add-on for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would pay like $4.99 if that was my genre. Like, yo, I write a site about Florida man articles. I need this Kenny plugin.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Here's the title. Florida it up a little bit.
Just throwing some meth and some bath salts and some gators and hurricanes.
Make
I
it
don't know.
more preposterous.
Generally, everything in Florida is more preposterous
Yeah.
than the rest of the states.
It's like let's say like a new Orc Codex on the horizon, right? Make that more Florida. You know, it's like Orc Codex delayed right out the gate. Just a nonsense lie. I just make that shit up. People would show up, they're like, the Orc Codex is delayed. They said it's coming out on the 22nd. I was like, yeah, I made that up, dude. Like, I have no evidence that it's delayed whatsoever. I just knew that it would irritate an Orc player. You know?
What is that?
Kara Quinn says Texas ain't far behind. Yeah, I saw an article of a Texas guy who like killed a home invader with a spear. Wyatt showed it to me. I was like, well, what? Like, some guy just has like spears laying around. He's like really into that shit. And it was like, got to play out his weird medieval fantasy.
Huh. That might not be healthy.
Garrett says, but broken is good, right? Oh yeah, dude. Like saying something's broken for me is like how you say like that's bad, but like, you mean it's good.
It's like, yeah, it's like 80s bad, but it's
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, I saw broken.
So I played I don't know, a lot of people are on the anti custodies kick now. They're like,
Anti
oh,
custodians, what's wrong with them? Are they OP now?
yeah, they won like 3 tournaments.
Oh, they're
So
broken.
everybody's like, and they're like second highest win rate already. So everybody's losing their shit.
Broken.
But here's the thing, like, because they're not just auto win. Like you have to know how to like pick your targets
Yeah,
and
I mean,
like,
only sophisticated, learned men of culture are winning with custodians, not the rest of us peasants.
but yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like
Like
you can't win with custodians. You scrubs. Like you know what I mean? Like you have to be a baller to unlock this.
I mean, there's certain lists out there that will literally pick up custodies regardless. Um, I don't know. It's just I got to play with the new ones. You can fit a lot more stuff in your list, which is really cool. Definitely a fan of that because and the whole like getting saves against mortal wounds is very nice now, or devastating wounds rather.
Yeah, now they can save against devastators.
I always wondered. I was like, it seems like rules is intended. They should be able to save against that, but
Oh, I
that
mean,
is not.
obviously they were meant to because they were, and they just changed what devastating wounds did because that was too powerful because it had like bleeding over
Yeah,
was too powerful. Like having like 3 damage weapons that just I go to devastating. Now I'm also good at anti infantry.
it's like I don't know, man. It just feels like what is this?
Nurgle Matthew
No.
says, "Is that so?" What are we talking about, Nurgle Matthew? Are you a custodies? Are you a gentleman of the stones?
Gentleman of the custodies. What page is she talking?
Facebook user says, uh, "Fact: Only scrubs say X Army's OP." Yeah, man. But that's why I say broken. Shit's broken because I mean, like it's bad as good. 80s, like Rob said. Stones are broken as fuck. Let's go. Kara Quinn said he has 10 or knocks him and he says, I have 10k points of custodians and I suck with them and 40k. Kara Quinn says, just play the stuff. Got like 85 points total. Didn't add much, but main custodian killers got hit, which helps. So he's saying that like it's a combination of my shit got good and some of the shit I was worried about got worse. Nurgle Matthew says, I like this thing that you do. This podcast? Thanks, man.
Me too.
That means a lot coming from a learned man of culture like you. Did you see this? Did I share it with you? It was like this would you rather I saw on Instagram today.
I don't think so.
Maybe not.
Today's been quite the adventure for all of us, I feel like.
Oh yeah, today sucked. Yeah. Yeah. So Wyatt's still in the hospital, guys. Today we thought there was a good chance of him going home today, and we got hit with like, nah, dude, not today. So that sucked. Could be up to literally up to 2 more weeks. Uh, but we got Depticon around the corner. He should still meet that deadline. So the would you rather I saw it was like, would you rather make like minimum wage for like the rest of your life, or like $1 million a year for the rest of your life? But there's a snail that's
Oh,
chasing you. You see that one?
Yeah, I did. I have seen that one. Yeah.
That one, dude, that's just so funny. Like a snail is chasing you like your whole forever, and if it touches you, you're dead. And they're like breaking down how fast the snail moves and like how many years it would take to go a certain amount of miles. It's just
Dude,
relentless.
snail. You can't. Let me tell you about some snails. I have I have issues with snails, and you're gonna be like, Rob, you're just being Rob again. Just some stupid lizard shit. But like, no joke, these fucking snails get in my house. They can smell. Snails have the most ridiculous sense of smell, supposedly. And if one of the cats leaves food on the floor, these effing snails can smell it. And they can, or maybe it's slugs. I think it's slugs. Never mind. One of those, the things.
The you mean like snails without their shell?
Yes, because and I looked it up, and they find like a sliver of light, and they spend hours like crawling through the like foundation somehow, and they get in, and I find them, and I'll step on them in the morning, and I'll be like, ugh, it's either puke or a snail. And then I'm like, it's a stupid snail, and I never kill them. I always just put them outside,
Mm-hmm.
and they're always like curled around a little piece of cat food. And I'm like, ugh. But then when it gets cold, they can't do it. But like during the summer,
So you have like a slug infestation.
it's not an infestation. Apparently, this is normal. Like they will literally make their way into houses. They can smell this shit from
I've
like
literally never
outside.
seen a slug in some house.
Bro, the South is wild.
I lived there, dude. I live there right now.
I don't know what to say, man. Like it's a thing.
Some people chat like, is this a snail like ethereal? Can it like go through stuff?
Yes,
Nurgles, yeah, they can for sure.
they scrunch themselves and they like figure it out, man.
The B Dubs and Nurgle Matthew says they're faster than you think. B Dub says slugs are homeless snails. Most Magic says what's up, man.
Homeless snails. It's so
Uh,
good.
someone in chat, let's say Facebook users. I've seen a response where your first few years are designed around containing the snail and eventually blasting it off into space. But I think the ethical part was that the snail had a consciousness, so you're effectively damaging a soul to an eternity of being in prison. So it's like an immortal, unkillable snail, right? And so I like that. Like so that's like the high that like basically trapping the snail onto like a rocket ship is like the idea. But like it's I think it's easier than that, dude. I mean like you just have to move around, like many would you rather's like that. But it's a lot of stress knowing that this you're gonna wake up one day and the snail's gonna touch you. You're dead. Like it's a good one. I think Matthew is joining in.
Oh, there he is. Now we get the. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
There he is.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Awesome.
Normally I'd mess around and tell Kenny I couldn't hear him, but I'm making a special exemption.
Yeah, we were just talking about this snail based would you rather that I heard on TikTok today that Rob and other people in chat have already been aware of for a while.
And we've come to the conclusion that slugs are homeless snails.
Yeah.
I have a problem with slugs. They get in my house. I don't like it.
He has a slug infestation.
It's not an infestation.
He thinks it's normal to have slugs just constantly invading your house endlessly.
Dude, just look it up. They can smell food. That when there's food,
most animals can do that, Rob. Yeah. And when a bunch of them repeatedly enter your house like all the time, that's literally called an infestation.
Not a bunch, just like one. It might even be the same one. I don't know.
Then you have an immortal slug coming in and out of your house every day.
We can't rule it out.
Do you touch it?
Yeah.
With your bare hands, skin to skin.
Yeah, it's weird because
so it's not the would you rather one, okay?
Huh?
So it's not the would you rather slug that's gonna kill you.
No, but it takes a while to get that stuff off your hands. It's gross. I'm just saying.
So I think it depends a lot on where you live. Like in the Midwest, we had slugs. Out here in Arizona now, it's pretty normal to have scorpion infestations. which I much prefer the slugs. So
Yeah. Scorpion infestation's a little sketchier.
Yeah, I don't. That sounds worse.
what I don't understand about it is the people out here wanted to make light of it, so they literally take dead scorpions and put them inside of suckers. I have one right here at my desk, and
Look at that little guy.
You're supposed to eat it. I don't know. It's disgusting.
That's gross.
Why do you eat a scorpion?
That's some Florida shit right there. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Huh.
I mean, I think it's like chocolate covered crickets. Like nobody really likes them. It's just the novelty of it, you know. So
Yeah, is Arizona secretly other Florida?
It might be.
Because that's
little
definitely
bit.
some shit they would do in Florida.
They don't even know what time zone they're in sometimes.
It's true. That is Florida AF, dude. If you think about it,
Yeah, kind of.
all they do is hurt themselves. I respect saying, fuck Daylight Savings Time. Like for real, it's dumb and archaic. And I think we all agree that it's dumb. But if you're the only one not doing it, then it's like you're doing it like 4 times. If you do
Yeah.
any interactions with anybody not in Arizona in a different time zone, you're fucked.
yeah, I think it's harder being in Arizona
Mhm.
because you guys only have to deal with it like once or twice a year when you randomly deal with somebody.
Yeah, it
in
goes up and
Arizona.
back, up and back. And for
Yeah.
you, it's like it never
Well, I-
changes. So which one are we in multiple regions?
Right, right. And like, if I'm on a call, it comes up every single call that I'm on because it's always with somebody out of the state. And so like you're forced to deal with it all the time.
You have to do all the calculations.
Yeah.
That's why my schedule has changed since I moved to Florida. Because Jason's, in Arizona, and he's just like, okay, for the last 7 years, I've been changing my schedule around daylight savings time. Because like we stream and raid into each other, and he's like, bro, give me a goddamn break, dude. Let me just change my shit once, and you change it. And I was like, okay.
It's so much easier from the East Coast, bro. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's true. So what's up, Matt? What are you up to?
Not much. Trying to get ready for Adepticon. The last month, there's always a bunch of stuff to do.
A lot of
So-
people in chat right now still talking about Immortal Slugs, but we also got Adepticon stuff coming up, guys. It's like what? Less than like
I think it's 30 days. So I saw some
It's
announcement. that
222
they-
right now, so it's like 30 days.
Yep.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
So the starting this weekend, I believe, the team, not me because I'm in Arizona, but the other guys back in Illinois are starting to load up for the convention already. So they have to load up like multiple trailers, and just the way, like when I say trailer, I mean semi-trailer, and the way that the logistics of it all have to work out. They've got to get one done this upcoming weekend, one the next weekend, one the weekend after that, and then it's the con.
Goddamn.
It's it's so much. Again, I'm not doing it. I'm not like taking credit for it, but it is so much work getting ready for the con. So
Oh yeah, I see that shit, man. Like that's a goddamn hassle.
Yeah.
Logistic nightmare, man.
yeah.
OnePlus saves
If
in
any-
chat says that Custodians are the best army now. Is that true?
I mean they're good. I haven't looked at the tournament results from like the last weekend, but the weekend before, I think they won like a GT, but they weren't like crushing everything.
I heard that they're broken and they're the new meta now.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's nice to get buffed when everybody else gets nerfed.
You heard
right?
that, Scrubs?
No.
Get good.
What's broken now?
Custodies. I was bringing it back to Custodies. Basically,
I played a couple
the
games
conclusion
with
that
once.
Rob was trying to make, and he has no bias because he's definitely not a Custodies player. He doesn't have a Custodies army.
Zero. I haven't been
But
playing them
but
for
basically, I summarized this point,
years.
which is like, look, like yeah, maybe they're winning all these tournaments, but like you have to be like a scholar, like a learned scholar, to win these GTs. Like basically the people winning GTs with custodians are just better than you guys. It's not that the army's broken. It's just that they're that good. Not biased in any capacity because he also plays custodians. And I am possibly being slightly hyperbolic based on how he said it.
Yeah, I'm suspicious that Custodes is one of those armies that like you have to be super skilled to play well. Like they're so resilient and the strategies are pretty obvious. Like, oh, you charged me? Oh, I'm just gonna fight before you. Like that doesn't seem like that deep of a tactical decision. Unlike some other like so in ninth when like Gene Stealer was it ninth or eighth, late eighth, early ninth when Gene Stealer Cult were really good. Like that's an army that I think, yeah, and you can sort of see that like the like you'd have them in your play group. You'd have buddies who like try and hop on the Gene Stealer Cult train, and then they would just like lose every game. And then like Nick Nanavati's like winning like 3 GTs in a row with them, and you're like, what? Like, how does this make sense? It's because it's a high skill cap army. Like in my experience, Custodes is more on the spectrum where like your average guy player, which I would include myself here, just average guy player, picks him up and is now all of a sudden winning like 5 out of 6 games, 7 out of 8 games. That doesn't seem like a skill cap army to me, but I could be wrong.
Well, plus Ev says custodians have 0 weaknesses now because they can't be dev'd, mortaled, or high AP'd. Kind of feeds into your statement, right? Like it doesn't take a lot of skill to have good saves and be partially safe against the other 2 things that bypass good saves.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that just plays into resiliency, right? Like when stuff's really resilient and not fragile, that can like that in and of itself can dig you out of holes. So like in ninth when warrior nids were like completely broken and like you had the like your block of like 9 warriors that you just can't like 9 out of 10 armies
you
just
can't interact
kill
with
them.
Yeah,
and you just like walk at everything, and anytime you touch something, it dies. Custodes feel more like that end of the spectrum to me.
So, what do you say? What do you think about that?
I would have to disagree with you, to be honest.
Yeah, tell us why.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that match up very well against Custodes. I mean, Marines shockingly match up well against Custodes, but you're just not going to see a lot of high level Marine players out there right now. Because Marines have the tools to actually shut down a lot of Custodes tricks. Like, oh, hey, all your weapons are 2 damage. Well, guess what? They're 1 damage now. How do you like that? Ooh, don't like that. Don't like that at all. Also, we're going to deep strike 3 inches away from you. How do you like that? Ooh, don't like that either. You need to stop that. Knights just straight up pick up Custodes. Like, I mean, you'll have units still to do stuff if you can get to objectives, but it's a stretch.
Scott says something kind of interesting, Rob. He says, Custodes seem to be more beginner friendly, cheap to buy, easy to paint. So I like that. Like right out the gate, we're going in. We're not even into the game yet. Beyond the 4th wall, cheap to buy, easy to paint, low model count. Right, so GW is really good at making sure there's always an army like that, right? Like, here's like this shit is let's go. So your access is high, and then tough enough to soak up a few bad decisions in game.
Sure, they will.
So like, when they are strong in the meta, it can be frustrating. I think it's a pretty well-rounded statement. You know what I mean? Like, so a lot of people are experiencing a degree of frustration, and you might be seeing kind of like whenever knights get too strong. Remember, like, what we always tell people is like, remember, literally everyone has knights.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're fucking everywhere. Everyone's got knights. They all bought them. Everyone bought them. And so, like, when a new Knight Codex comes out, everyone's like, oh, yeah, my knights I bought. Let's play those. And so the results are always skewed, which is also why, like, for, like, on this meta watch shit they've been doing for, they mentioned that, like, it's hard to know exactly what Marines are doing because so many people have them and we don't really know what the fuck they're doing with them, you know? So, and what, all this sky is falling talk is coming from what, like 1 week of data?
Um, you could argue that because I mean, I think this is 1 week where everything played the New Balance status slate, right? Because like some events didn't, maybe it was kind of transition period a little bit.
Yeah, so a weekend ago, I know there were like 3 or 4, like it weren't many. There were a couple of GTs that did it. But even though they do that, like I don't know how much so even though they use the new rules, I don't know how much you can even take out of that weekend because it's like who can change their GT list in 3 days,
Mhm.
right? So nobody's using the best version of any of the rules that are available, even if you're using the new rules. So, and I would say that probably even about this past weekend, like 2 weeks is still a long time, or excuse me, not very much time to like shift your army. Custodes, maybe it's faster because the hobby lag for custodes is smaller. But for like a lot of other armies, like Drukari switching it up, right? Like that's an army that the hobby time, takes a while. There's a lot of little stuff and it's money and yeah, so I'm not it's all evolving. I think that after the changes, I would expect Custodes players to be able to adapt to them the fastest, and perhaps everybody else will catch up to them after another week or two of building and scheming.
Makes sense. I can get behind that. Yeah, and Kara Quinn says it's not like some hobos off the street are going 6-0 GTs with them suddenly. It's like people who are already winning games are winning GTs with them. Like kind of Rob's
Correct.
point too. Like
Yeah, you
learned men. Like you know what I mean?
um character.
So, but for tonight's show, Rob, you want to talk about that meta thing, and we got Matt here to talk about Adepticon and also that meta thing. What's the plan?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea.
Mhm.
I know Matt wanted to talk about Matt. How do you say your last name? Is it Baugh?
You got it. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
great. Most people don't get it. So
Okay, I was just making sure. I'm bad at English sometimes, so.
that's good because
Um,
it's German. So
well, I don't know if you realize the spelling of my last name, but I too have a German last name. Um, so I think you want to talk about the team event, right?
yeah, I'd be happy to.
Okay. I think we could definitely do that. I'm trying to look up this characteristic thing because I think that's something we need to talk about too, because it's not as cut and dry as some folks might think, but I can't seem to find it. Where is it? Well, what's your interpretation of the um rules commentary in regards to what Trajan actually affects?
Is that directed at me?
Yes, sorry.
So I haven't read the most recent wording. I've been doing other stuff getting ready for the events.
Okay.
My understanding though of the commentary is that he ignores basically everything. So like him and his unit would get full damage on like Satans, well, which is the big one that everybody cares about. Um I didn't know that there was even an argument otherwise.
I'm trying to find it now, and despite, am I in the right one?
Well, plus 7 says it ignores minus half damage, sets damage to 0, ignores AP reduction, ballistic hit modifiers. So like everything except the save itself.
Well, let's not all jump to conclusions here. Let's actually read it because it is the
I don't read
GW's
I don't read
interpretation is
things,
very
man.
specific.
People read to me, so read it to me.
Well, unfortunately, it's a 20-page document.
Okay, I'll
Alright.
wait. I'll just
I'm not
start reading
finding
now. Can you just like Control F commentary?
I really wish I knew what to search for.
Trajan, literally Control F Trajan.
It's not under that.
Control F commentary. Control F designer note. Control F characteristic modifier.
I think it might be modifier.
Life Cluda says tuck him in and read it to him. He does every night, dog. He's playing coy right now, but I can't go to bed
Well,
unless
I read
Rob
it
reads
once
me.
and I was like, oh, okay, this is incredibly specific.
Someone says Cause King says second page.
Let's see. I remember reading it when it first dropped, and I haven't gone back to it. What the hell is it? No, second. Unless I'm in the wrong one, that's like strategic or what is the date on this? No, this is it. This is definitely the one. This is not a modifier. Damage characteristic is not a modifier. There's another one in here. Well, maybe halfway through the show, I'll actually find what I'm trying to talk about. That would be great. I mean, I remember reading it plain as day in this rules commentary as we were writing it up for the site, and can't find it now.
Give me a second. I'm gonna go hit the B room.
That's what's up. Vehicles with bases. This is the right document. Is this at modifiers? No.
Ignoring modifiers on page 19. Is that what you're thinking of?
That's actually where I'm at right now. Okay, yep. Yeah, so this is incredibly specific. So let me go get Trajan. I don't know why this thing come up from oh, because there's 89 instances of modifiers in this document. Cool.
Yeah, it's hard. The Control F is not as useful as you might think it is.
Laugh cry. Because that's ignore any modifiers to characteristics of models in that unit. To the characteristics of models. This allows you to ignore modifiers for the following characteristics: move, toughness, save, wounds, leadership, and objective control for the models. And range, attacks, ballistic skill, weapon skill, strength, armor, pen, and damage for their weapons and attacks.
So I'm not familiar with this argument. Are you trying to say that like Trajan's rule says, so Trajan ignores modifiers to the damage characteristic? Would the argument be something like the Satan reduces the damage suffered versus it says it changes the characteristic of the unit? Is that what the issue is?
When this model is leading a unit, you can ignore any and all modifiers to the characteristics of models in that unit and or to any tests from models. So Marines have a thing where they can play a strat, and it neg ones your damage of your weapons. So if Trajan is part of the squad, that would not be the case. If Trajan is part of the squad attacking the thing that they play that on, it would not be part of it. The problem is that that's one squad. That's one squad of wardens. So
So
and Marines have
before wasn't it like before they were saying that it didn't work on a Satan, and now they're saying it does. Like,
well, I'm not worried about the Satan.
well, that's what everyone is worried about. That's where all of this controversy has come from, because Satans are like become a bit of a tabletop menace for a lot of people.
Well, I mean, Marines can play that strat on any one of their squads.
Right, but like 5 Satan floating around that have all damage or some
that
shit.
could be a problem too.
That's
Okay, okay, yeah.
So they were saying like that's a modifier to my damage technically, and they were saying no because it's like left to your person and it's on me now. And now they're saying like no, my damage characteristic is 4. That is my damage characteristic. You cannot change that.
I mean,
That's
the way
that's
it reads to me.
That's how people like that. I think that's the big controversy and the big update, because every Satan dude has basically been trying to argue like how Melta works in brackets, how this works, and how, you know what I mean. Like it's been nonstop. Satan have been at the epicenter of all of these arguments.
So I've got the Satan Necrodermis wording right here. It says each time an attack is allocated to this model, have the damage characteristic of that attack. I mean, the damage characteristic of the attack would be from models in Trajan's unit. So for that one, I don't see much of an argument. But if I go to, let me check like the Redemptor Dreadnought.
Redemptor is going to be a problem because, well, just assuming that the Redemptor being a Redemptor, it's neg 1 damage. You don't even have to play a strat.
Well, so it has it all the time. Let me double check the wording. I thought the Redemptor wording was something like reduce the damage suffered by 1, which is subtly different. But let me pull that up to be sure. I might just
What's this? Let me find the strat. Because a Redemptor is a target you have to deal with.
Oh no, the Redemptor uses like the modern language. It says subtract from the damage 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. So it changes your damage characteristic, which Trajan, that is a modifier in the rules commentary, which Trajan ignores. As best as I read it. Maybe there's some nuance here that I'm missing.
Read the designer note to us in the podcast again, and it will make some on the cuff
So ignoring modifiers. This is the first bullet point.
No, do it later. Don't worry about it now. Let's get our podcast.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, like,
well, I want to find the strat real quick.
Yeah, get all your sources together. Matt, so what do you want to talk about? We're promoting Adepticon and the 4-man team.
Yeah. So I don't have anything specific, just chit chat about it, and I can just start talking if you guys are ready. Or are we waiting to?
Do you have a timeline that you need to stay to today?
That I missed that.
Do you have a timeline? Like, do you need to be out of here in like 20 minutes or some shit?
No, not in particular. Maybe like I got like an hour.
Okay.
An hour I'd have to go.
So then we'll just have you on the show as a guest. So we'll go through intros, news, commercial break, and then we'll talk about Adepticon after the commercial break.
Okay.
And then before the news drop, after you do the news, let's do the Trajan commentary.
Say that again.
Trajan commentary after you finish the news before the commercial break.
Oh, but then what?
And then after the commercial break, we talk to Matt about Adepticon.
Oh, okay.
And then we get out of here. Sound good?
Yeah, well, let me get the news because
Yeah, yeah.
Just give me 1 second.
So it's not normally how we do it, Matt. Is like we're doing like currently what we're doing is after hours. Like we're doing this live shit. This isn't in the podcast. This is like for people who are live and who go to our paywall. And we filled in questions from our multi chat right now. You got this guy in here named One Plus Saves, who is a prolific troll from Reddit. Like he can't help himself, but he's making some solid points right now. He's like, Satan were really bad, or really good, and now everyone can kill them. It's kind of like what his like, and he's like, source. He's a Necron player. He's like, it works. Trust me, you can slap him now. And a lot of people are saying the same thing. Like Garrett, Kara Quinn. This is like the root of it is like the endless complaint or game rules gaminess that Satan players have been known for recently, right? Well, technically that doesn't do this, and this happens after that, or this, like all these things, and that seems like the commentary is like, calm the fuck down, dude. Like, you can't have an army of guys that have all damage and don't think we're gonna create some exceptions.
Yeah, that might be an issue for the game.
Now that's what 1+7 says. It ignores the Necrodermis. Source, I'm a Satan player.
Well, I mean, again, that's
pretty
if you
powerful
take-
source, dude.
Yeah,
Having
no, that's good.
having a
But if-
Satan player concede that he doesn't get to use that rule, that's rare. Oh, and I've got another comment here that says Rob is a mess.
Today's been challenging. Definitely challenging.
Kara Quinn says, fuck Satan. Sounds fair. That's my next army, Kara Quinn. I want to run 6 to 10.
By the time you get 6 Satan together, actually find the models and paint it up, there'll be another thing.
I
That's
know.
kind of like
I feel like you could say that about anything that's been good in the game for the last 3 years.
I'm gonna meta chase this Satan. Oh no, meta changed. Oh,
Well, actually, that's a little bit of a seg. I don't even know if we need to talk about like this whole. I mean, we could talk about like the balanced status or the meta watch that came out.
but it's like nothing in it because there's no real data.
Right, there's no well, they're like, hey, these armies are kind of doing good, and then we can look and we can see, hey, Sisters did well, Custodes won 3 events. There's a lot more people playing. There's just as many people playing Custodes as there is Necrons right now, and in top tournaments. But like, are people going to adapt? Are people gonna, it can all change as we've seen. This is really just the first week of people playing dedicated balanced data slate events, and Cherokees this weekend. Like, it's all going to change this weekend for sure.
So
Like,
tell everyone
when-
to stop whining about Custodes. We don't even know what the fuck's happening. Is that the stance you want to take?
I don't know if that. I mean, that's too hard in the paint too. Like, I just feel like Custodes just got kind of given a little bit more back where a lot was taken away, and maybe we just
Maybe
need to let
stop
it sort of
crying
settle
about it,
out.
babies. That's what you want to say. I'm like, remember that Obama translator, the Keenan Peele sketch they did?
Yeah. Oh, I know the sketch.
Like, that's what's happening right now.
Well, I think that a lot of the internet just wants to internet, but
You're all bitch asses. See, perfect, spot on.
yes. But I think we could be maybe a little bit more productive, just kind of talking in general about the data slate. That, hey, things are in flux right now. With Cherokees this weekend. I think there's next weekend there's the 8 TC. I believe,
The
or
8th
maybe it's
TC.
the 8th TC, which is going to be a big team event. And then we've got obviously Adepticon coming up. Oh, Rocky Mountain Open, I think, is in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, this is all good. Okay, so we'll take the stance. So we just got off. We just got off topic with the Satan thing, with the Trajan thing. The topic is still
Yeah.
like, custodies are. The world, like the meta's fuck. Custodies are too powerful. Stop crying.
I don't
That-
even want to hear that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't want so it's more about like, hey, we don't even have data. We got Cherokee. Let's see what happens. We got Rocky Mountain Open. We got 8TC. You know what I mean? We got all these things, and none of them are even going to affect. Like none of what is in that document that just came out, that Meta Watch, is going to be reflected accurately until after all this shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the MetaWatch was accurate to today.
No, which
Like-
is, as we all know, hardly accurate. When it comes out this close to the change, it's like hardly accurate. It's
But I
like
think they were just
it's like when you go to an event that's like the last event of an edition, because the edition just dropped, but we can't like play the new edition, so we're all playing the old edition.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, ugh, this is nonsense. Like,
I think we can all agree that we got plenty of talking about. So after the news, I'll just talk about the balanced stat slate real quick. And hey, everything's still in flux, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of events coming up, starting this weekend, big major events, pretty much every weekend for the next 3 or 4 weeks, heading into Adepticon. That everything's going to change. Whatever you know right now is going to change. Oh, there's a GW preview next Saturday. Okay. Oh, let me go grab that Farland figure I got. Hold on a second. We can start.
you guys can't quit a Disflex.
Okay. And then we can just we can break for commercial and then talk to Matt about all the new Adepticon stuff, the team format,
Jeff,
and things.
all right,
wide
so
update, maybe?
we're just gonna be quiet for a minute, Matt, while Rob will just bring us in.
Oh yeah, well tell him about the intros.
He's just gonna introduce us, and then after he's done, I go, you go, because it'll just be in the order he introduces us. So we don't talk over each other. And he always introduces me first, because I've been doing this for 10 years and now I know his order.
I don't even know my order. And I've
So
been
it's
doing
easier
it
for me to
10
say
years.
like me than you. You'll see.
All right. And this is The Long War. I'm Rob Bear, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, and special guest, Matt Baugh. What's up, y'all?
Yo, Doc, great to be here.
Hi, everybody.
I guess I guess I should have introduced Matt a little bit better.
should have done better.
Matt, you're the Mo better. You're the head overall of 40 of all things 40K at Adepticon. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so there's a lead organizer that would be me. So that's just like a lot of logistics and behind the scenes stuff related to 40K. And then I'm the actual head judge for the team tournament, the 40K team tournament at Adepticon.
Oh, okay. So yeah, super important all the way around.
People know
I
him.
mean, I like to think so.
Yeah,
I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So.
yeah.
His,
There we go.
Look at his apartment. It smells of rich mahogany and leather-bound books.
Hey, he's got a respectable backdrop. I like it. Okay, so we're gonna talk about. We're obviously gonna be talking about Adepticon tonight. Some updates from the Texas Soup Kitchen, I'm sure, and balanced out slate. The sky is falling, of course.
Yeah, no
Okay.
doubt. So I'll just do our weekly Wyatt update. So still in the Texas Soup Kitchen. the mobile beats lab in full force. Been here for a little over 3 weeks now, I think. And so Wyatt is. We thought today would be like the day that he gets out. Like it was like our most optimistic. It was like we're out of here, and then we found out today he's not getting out of here today. So a little bit of a setback, a little disappointing. Not like a setback in recovery, just like how information circulates right in these situations, and so could be 2 more weeks, could be 1 more week, could be Monday. So it's a little bit of a blow to Wyatt. So anybody out there who is on Discord with the guy or regularly sends him hilarious reels on Instagram,
Send more.
send more. But yeah, that's my Wyatt update.
That's fair. I don't have a would you rather prepared, although we did talk about some the snail
The
one
snail
going
one.
around.
Yeah. You could. I don't think Matt was here for that. You can do it if you want. Just you can do a quick would you rather if you want.
Yeah, I was not here. I came in late for that.
Okay, so what is it? Would you rather
Make minimum wage for the rest of your life, or $1 million a year for the rest of your life.
but
But there is a snail
if-
that is
if the
tracking you
snail
down.
catches you, you're dead.
It's a heat-seeking snail. It's coming after you. It's a normal ass snail. If it touches you, you die.
So it's normal
It's-
speed.
It's a normal snail in every other way, except that it's essentially an impervious, immortal snail. You can't smash it. You can't kill it. Like,
Nope.
you can't, like, it's coming for that ass. You know what I'm saying? It's relentless, coming for you at all times. You can do anything you want, right? But, like, $1 million a year, the snail gets you, you're dead. Or minimum wage for the rest of your life, never have to worry about the snail kill.
So have you guys seen the movie It Follows? The
No.
There's a movie
So,
about
I
the
don't know.
snail?
So it's not a snail. It's a sexually transmitted curse where this ghost-like figure is just slowly walking towards you forever, and if they get you, you die.
So it's like
if
that.
you're if you're a horror movie fan, it's worth checking out. I think
Huh.
that movie, just the
Inspired this, would you rather?
constant the constant anxiety of the characters of just like never being able to relax, just always being on edge.
And this
'cause
ghost
this
can, like, go
thing-
through walls and shit, just walking straight at you in a straight line.
Well, in the movie, the ghost thing can like change shape. So like sometimes it looks odd and weird, and then sometimes it looks like your family, and it's always just sort of so like you're always on edge because you can't tell like who it is, or like you think it's your mom, but it's really this creature that's gonna come kill you.
That's horrible.
But like, yeah, it is. It's and it makes me think I would much rather live off of minimum wage than that
Than
kind
the-
of anxiety
then the anxiety.
forever. Yeah, I couldn't handle it. I don't think any amount of money's worth that.
This nonstop on the edge anxiety, 24 hours a
Yeah.
day. Is that snail? So I mean, the thing is, you'd have to say so. Like, if for me, I'd pick $1 million. Fuck it, I'm down. Let's go. Like, fuck this snail. This is gonna be my. This is like from other would you rather's, like me and the
But-
chicken, me and the chimpanzee. Like, I have like I'm down to form a rivalry with a fucking magic snail. Like, I'm down. Let's go. And one day I will get tired of running. And then it would be my great honor, to allow, him to win this fight. Like, I'll come up to him and I'm like, we're gonna box until one of us goes down, son. You know what I mean? Like, but having said all that, I think I have a couple good strategies on like how I can at least go 40 years stress free.
You just have to relocate.
Mhm.
Do the math, and
Right. But the second thing is, Matt's on it though. Like, anxiety will be there because, like, okay, so yeah,
Sure.
I go to Singapore. That's where I live now, and we started here in Texas, right? Well, you're like, well, technically, I should be safe, but that snail is coming for me. Like, it is his sole goal to get to me. You tell me that snail doesn't just get on a boat one day, doesn't just get on a freighter, just snail up onto something. You know what I mean?
if he's smart, he will.
It's a magic snail who's coming for that ass, dude.
You
They'll
gotta
figure it out.
time you gotta gamify it. You have two houses and you do the math for how long it takes the snail to get from one to the other.
It's like
You just live in
3.6
one
days. It's like
house.
3.5 days to go a mile
Yeah.
for the snail.
That's slow. You mean you could have like if you had one on each coast, you could have like half the year in one place.
Mhm.
When you math it out and the snail hits Arizona.
Right.
You
But
hop
what if
back
he
over
never
to
left
New
your
York.
first house waiting for you to get
Oh,
back?
that's
That's the anxiety.
Smart. Yeah.
See?
Yeah,
But
what if he gets on a train or
Oh
you know,
yeah. Then you're
like you just don't know. Like
the
what if
snail is
he-
an immortal fucking god snail. Can't be
God.
injured, can't be killed. So you can't like salt ring yourself, and he doesn't care about that shit. He's impervious to harm and damage.
looking around at all of our hobby rooms, and
He could be literally behind anything.
right. So you can't see it, but I'm in the middle, surrounded by all my hobby stuff, and like I'd have to clean my house out. Right, there's like way too many places for this snail to like sneak through and get me. If I
Yeah.
had a completely pristine life, maybe I'd be more likely to pick the snail because you have eye lines to see him coming.
Well, plus say that's like how smart is it? It's smart enough to know its only thing in life is to get to me. Like that's every
That's its thing.
particle and every atom in its body is get to me.
Yeah, I just don't feel as someone that like has had a lot of anxiety, especially today, I don't feel like that's a good way to live. So I'm going to say, you know what? Just work, just be happy. It's all about being happy at the end of the day, right?
See, like if people are smart. Like, what's the max speed? Spend half the 6 months in different hemisphere. Like the
Sure.
top speed of a snail. Like I said, it's about 3.6 days per mile. Right? It's like top speed. Okay. So yeah, you're like, okay, I go to Australia, I go to Singapore, I go anywhere, different hemisphere. Like mathematically, you should be fine. It would take him like 40 years to get to you. Like, so you're like, I should be fine. What if that snail's on a freighter? What if he gets on an airplane? What if he just sticks to somebody's backpack one day? And you think you've got a 40-year timer, and then like 5 years into that timer, you start really thinking about all these other things. Like, am I really that safe? Am I? Do I need some snail security in here? And you're like, you know what? I should just fucking move now. You know what I mean? Like, think about like Matt's onto it. Like, he watched a horror movie about this, so he kind of knows the suspense level that this heat-seeking snail missile can create for you. To me, the only strategy is simple. I never lose eyesight on the fucking snail.
So you got to be
You just let it get close, and then you just always like just
Like
slowly
I'm
move
a
just
millionaire
out of
now,
its reach.
so like I pay people to keep eyes on the snail. Like it's like like curling, the Olympic sport.
yeah.
It's like they're curling in front of the guy, the snail, because it's always moving straight to me, right? So like I'm just like, let it. Eyes on the snail at all fucking times. I'll never be so far away from the snail that I can't also see him if I needed to. Like basically a big part of my
You could have a snail
identity
cam.
as a human now is like the guy who the snail's trying to kill. Like that's my life now. It's not like I'm hiding out in fucking a villa in paradise for the rest of my life. No, like this is what I do now. Like I have like high level trained security, dude. Like this is what we're doing. Like I'm into this. Like we're gonna have a code name for the snail, everything, dude. I'm gonna spend at least 80% of my new $1 million income on this
Yeah,
operation.
right.
Snails on the move.
Yeah.
So I'm an accountant, and my mind immediately went to how much is it going to cost to pay this team of people to watch the snail all the time. I think you might need a few $1 million to make this work.
So somebody in chat said send the snail to space. So that is earlier when we posed this in the after hours. This is a would you rather that has been around on the internet for a while.
Yeah.
And that was actually someone's solution. It was basically like you trick the snail into a scenario where you launch into space. Right? It's kind of like how you fully escape it. But the snail can't die, so now you've put this like poor little soul into a forever like tumbling through space literally for all eternity. So now it's like I don't know if I can live myself after that. You know what I'm saying? That poor little guy. He was just doing his one little thing. You know what I mean? And I picked that. I said, this snail, you can have this one thing. You got to come after me, right? And I get the money. And then I send you into space for all of time and space, like forever. Bro, that's fucked.
I mean, it's
That
yeah.
That's evil, right? Like,
I mean, I think you brought up a good point. What was this snail like before you picked? Like, if this was a nice snail and you forced him into this spot, that's different than if he's gonna be going around chasing and putting people to death anyway.
yeah, my decision made this snail exist. You know what I mean? And then I doomed him to that existence.
Well, I feel like,
Nah,
I mean,
the
I don't
game
know
was
how
on.
many-
It's like Catch Me As You Can, Leo. You know, with Leo DiCaprio. That's the life I envisioned. It was like that, like playful, campy. You know what I mean? Like, and one day the snail will get me. I accept that. Just like I accept I'm a zombie in every zombie apocalypse. That's the end
True.
result. I'm a zombie.
Ugh, I don't know. I feel like the snail's gonna eventually come back to Earth and find you.
Yeah. What if he hits a ride back to Earth? You think the anxiety's gone now?
You just never know. When it's
Bro,
that
you see
from
like
above.
when you see like what like some just space debris, like you're chilling camping in Colorado and you see like little asteroids coming back to Earth, you're like, yo, it could be that snail.
Shooting star. Yeah, it's a snail.
It's a snail.
For sure, a snail.
All right. Rob, so thank you for bringing us in on that. Matt, thank you for participating. So now with our guests, we have the news. Rob is going to cover some stuff. Always feel free to interrupt and jump in, and you can have something constructive to say, or you can just make fun of Rob. Either way.
It's mostly the latter with Kenny.
Yeah. That is accurate.
It's sometimes he actually cares. Anyways, so this week is the big Dark Angels release. Oh boy. So we got a lot of Dark Angel stuff coming out, of course. The new Inner Circle companions are $60 US. Asmodee is is 42. New Deathwing Knights are $70 US. And revealed today was the new Combat Patrol, which is 160 to normal price. Belial is 42, and then there's that upgrade and transfers kit for $35, which is very similar to the Cadian ones that came out with that release. Codex supplement Dark Angel. So this is the first Codex supplement we've gotten, and that is only a mere $35, not the normal 60 for a Codex. And then there's also data sheet cards for 35. Dark Angels dice are 32, and then there's some various books and things that are also coming out. And if you're really into the Dark Angels, they have a collector's edition, which again is less than the normal cost, and that is only $65 because basically you need the Marine Codex too to go along with these guys. So there's that. That's all the big releases. Now GW did reveal today the new Combat Patrol box, which we'll have the value and stuff on here shortly because I haven't even had a chance to look at it yet. But I'm sure it's pretty decent because it isn't all taken up by characters and things. There is a preview that's happening next Saturday, March 2nd, at I guess Nottingham. It doesn't seem like it's going to be streamed, although they could come out and say it is going to be streamed at some point. But they said that there would be at least an article with the reveals, so it feels like it's going to be similar to like one of those Black Library previews where they're just like, here's some new stuff coming out, new books and things like that. And I have cookies. There's cookies here now. I'm gonna eat them at some point. So that's kind of cool. So we'll see what comes out for that because there's technically still a lot of things on the way. We know that Dark Angels are supposed to come out in in spring, but spring actually starts on March 19th. So Dark Angels will be out on the 9th. So we're actually getting them 10 days early. But then again, they said a lot of things are coming out in spring, from Orcs to Custodes to Chaos. I'm probably missing one. I forget. I don't have the picture memorized. I think Sisters maybe. So that's a pretty big window for a lot of content. So the chances are that we are going to see, Tau at some point. But because we know the big box set's coming out, but don't necessarily know when. However, orcs are on the way too, and orcs will probably be next according to their diagram and things. So while the orcs might not get a huge release because they just got a special character, the Black Library Celebration, they could just get one model and maybe some other stuff. They just got a huge big revamp in 2021 with all the Beast Naga stuff. So it just really depends. But either way, there's a lot of new 40K stuff on the way that is sure to shake things up. I'm sure if I had to guess. So look for that preview coming out soon. A couple of Kickstarters that popped off on Tuesday. The Duncan's Two Thin Coats Kickstarter Wave 3 is already funded, of course. Snot Goblin Games, they have that a Lego modular terrain set. Did really well as well. That's all funded as well. So lots of big hobby projects out there that are already doing well. McFarlane, if you're into action figures and don't want to shell out the 60 to 80 bucks for Joy Toys, I'm holding up the new McFarlane Mega Fig Terminator that just started shipping. So there's 6 different figures from McFarlane Toys for Warhammer 40K. 2 of them are artist proofs. There's a World Eaters one as well as the Ultramarine Terminator that you can paint up however you want. And I think the Terminator's 50, the artist proof, I believe, is 20 something. There's a Space Wolf and some other stuff too. So look for those. If you haven't pre-ordered them already, you can just order it right now, and it'll probably be to you here in 2 or 3 days right off Amazon, or you can go to McFarlane Toys as well. Trying to read the rest of my writing here.
He doesn't write things down. He just pretends he has papers with writing on it.
And I tend to not be able to read my writing after I actually write it down. Oh, there's that talking point I wanted to talk about. Atomic Mass Games. So Star Wars Shatterpoint, I don't know what happened, but this week there's 5 expansion sets coming out for Star Wars Shatterpoint all at once. So we didn't have anything since Christmas, or actually before Christmas, and now we got like 5 of them. So that's dope. Also, they previewed 3 new ones. So we got Mandalorian coming out, Moff Gideon's squad coming out with the Death Troopers, and also the Bad Batch. So really cool, kind of more recent stuff, not necessarily into the Return of the Jedi era, but a lot cooler stuff that's been on TV recently coming out as squads. Also at I guess it's just next weekend, the X-Men for Marvel Crisis Protocol will all be out too. So there's 3 new expansions for them. So if you're into either of those games, it's going to be a busy hobby session here this spring for you. Solar Auxiliary are also getting a new Basilisk Medusa dual kit that looks to be based off of the Forge World kit for the Solar Auxiliary, which was dope because I already have three of them already ready to paint. So, but they don't have interiors, and it looks like these have interiors with like crew and shells and all sorts of things. So I'm really excited to get my hands on that and see what the interior compartment looks like for those. So that's going to be pretty cool. So a Solar Auxiliary looks to be really, really well rounded out and definitely usable, hopefully, fingers crossed, the infantry scale wise in Warhammer 40K. Like if you're like, yo, I just want some of these dudes, they look dope, I'm not into Cadians, you might be able to use those. They might be about the right scale, but we haven't seen them next to the new Cadians quite yet. So I'm really hopeful for that one. I guess I have 2 little talking points to talk about after the news here. That one of them might get us on a little bit of a tangent, so I'll save that one. So GW put out their MetaWatch article today, which I'm sure Matt's going to want to chime in on this. It was basically a little bit of a nutshell, just saying like, hey, the balanced data slate's been out for about a month now. I think it came out on the 30th, and things have changed. And last week we saw, for the first week, it seemed like the majority of events were running the balanced data slate, because a lot of events before that were already slated and people already had their lists. So, you know, you can't change stuff like last second and things. But I think this week was really the first solid week of data we got. And in that solid week of data, we saw, well, uh, Sisters and Custodes and Necrons did really well. And I think the data kind of supports that a lot of people were playing Custodes and a lot of people were playing Necrons. But where does that get us? Like, traditionally, we've seen things change. Like, people adapt and the meta changes, right? What do you guys think?
Take it over to Matt, our guest, and 40K event organizer for Depticon. How do you feel about that data?
Yeah, so I mean, we were chit chatting about this in the pre-show. I think there's two things to keep in mind, and they're both related to hobby lag. So Necrons were good before, so everybody, and they didn't change at all. So what was good before is still good. So everybody's been hobbying and building on Necrons for a couple of months at this point, and so though, like the Necron players have the best version of Necrons ready to go, like, you know, a week as soon as the data slate dropped. And then Custodes are like, maybe you didn't have everything ready for Custodes, but honestly, like a lot of people did. What's good in Custodes now is what was good in Custodes like 2 or 3 months ago before they got nerfed. So the hobby lag for Custodes is very small, and even if you wanted to do like new units, Custodes are like a super quick and easy army to get together. And so I just think both of those armies were probably positioned to do well quickly. People can get together the best versions of those armies. Whereas like some of the other things that people are talking about, you know, Drukhari has 1 million units, and like your new
And they're
list,
not
you
just
might
metal with dry brushing to paint them and shit.
Yeah.
right, yeah, and so like the 4 units you need to get together for your hot new Drukhari army, you know, might take you like a month, or same with Guard, same with Sisters, right? So I think 2 weeks or a week and a half or whatever after the data slate drops really favors the short hobby time armies.
People who can be
And
first to market will always have success.
Mhm.
yep,
And the people who are positioned well, this is like something we talked about. We've been doing this like for 10 years. This happens a lot, right? It's no surprise that we're talking about Necrons and Custodes, two armies that are traditionally like you can rattle can that shit with like a metal color and wash and dry brush it. Hobby lag is not existent, right? If you want to be battle ready for a tournament. And also, like you said, like oftentimes it's someone who already has these collections because they rotate in and out. They're first to market. You're positioned well. So it's just like Knights. Every time Knights are good, every time a new codex drops for something like that, seems really good. It's you know, you're seeing like also uh an like a inaccurate data set because it's like if everyone is trying to play it because it's new, how accurate is this data? Right? If it goes from like in a vacuum, you know, there's 10 factions and 10% of all players play all factions, which is like what you want, right?
Mhm.
If it goes to like suddenly 40% of all players are playing one faction, that data is kind of tainted. Like it's like, yeah, it seems real good because we're only looking, and that's why statistically speaking, the statistics that we get from the Meta Watch are flawed, but they're still the only and best statistics we can observe, which is win rate.
yeah. So one of the, and they say this in a lot of the MetaWatch articles, but I wonder how much it plays into their thinking. I think they're getting better about considering many different reasons to nerf or buff an army. So like one reason is it has a high overall win rate. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's winning GTs, or it could be winning GTs and have a very mediocre win rate, or it could not be winning GTs. It could be having a very mediocre win rate, and it's just an awful play experience for players, and it sucks, and it's ruining games. Like we could all just flip a coin, and that would be perfectly fair. and it would you would have a 50-50 win rate, but like that would be miserable and nobody would want to play the game. So I think the meta watches and the design team are getting better about encompassing all of that. But I agree that the first statistic they always throw out is win rate. And it's just the picture's way more nuanced and complex
Yeah,
than that.
and a lot of people have commented on that over the years. And it's like calm down, guys. We don't really have other statistics we can really get. We can't gather usable data almost. Like it's people are like, yeah, but what about like player skill? What about this? None of that. We can't get that. How are we gonna get that data? How are we gonna get all this insanely important data? We can't, dude. It only when like if we all use the exact same app, you know, and all events were keyed into that app, and then the person at the top of that app was pulling all that data. There's like a full-time CPA doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like that guy's fucking like like a full-time employee. That's all he's doing with other people around him. Like that doesn't exist. It won't exist. Like so, we only have one. We can look at one thing, win rate, and according to the win rate, Custodians look OP right now.
Yeah,
But it's, as Matt said, it's more nuanced than that. It's probably not as OP as you think, but they're undoubtedly better than they once were. Someone in chat mentioned earlier, OnePlus Fantasy said like, so like they, you know, he phrased it a little bit more, you know, aggressively or not aggressively, like a little bit more declarative statement-y than how I'm going to phrase it. But it's like they have mortal wound mitigation and devastating wound mitigation now, where they used to only have mortal wound mitigation. And then with the change of devastating wound, which is where 99% of mortal wounds come from, they got fucked, right? So then that's been revoked. So they have both devastating wound mitigation and mortal wound mitigation and premium fucking armor save statistics. So they have
true.
a set of damage mitigation properties that are high tier. And as Matt mentioned, like most people already have a collection. Or if you don't, somebody in chat mentioned it's $400 to get an army to get one of these lists together. So it's like cheap, $400 to get the list together. You could literally spend all Saturday building the $400 worth of models. Right? Then you can go out on Sunday with a can of fucking gold spray paint you bought from Home Depot. Spray all that bitches up. Then have breakfast. Go back into the Beats Lab. Literally fucking hit them all with a fucking wash. A quick gold dry brush after lunch. Then, you know, start playing them and they're on bases and they're almost battle ready based on what event you've been to. You know what I mean? And you can just, you know, in between like errands and tasks for the rest of the week, paint, you know, this doodad brown, this doodad blue, you know what I mean? Like literally it's a low pressure, low ceiling entry, easy on the wallet. So expect to see a lot of people, you know, taking advantage of this new set of power. Like the same units are good. Also, other people got nerfed.
Yeah, I think that's the thing to sort of realize. So I'll stick by my statement. I think some of their early success in the data slate is because of hobby lag. If there was one thing that was going to concern me that they're going to become dominant, I suppose two. One of them would be what you just said, Kenny, that it's an easy bandwagon army, super easy, like maybe the easiest.
It's the GOAT
army
right now.
Yeah,
Probably is right now because Grey Knights aren't nearly the same.
Like
as they
Grey
once
Knight,
were.
Necrons, and Custodians are GW is good at putting out armies that are easy to paint. They know, and they usually balance them. If you watch when they put out releases, you'll see it. That happens a lot. And of the three easiest to get to the table, this is the GOAT.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I think if you pause, right, Custodians were super good at the beginning of the edition. They were like really good. Mechanically,
They were hella good at for a time at 9th.
Well, yeah, that's true. But like most of their nerfs from early in the edition have been undone. right? So the mortal wound nerf has been undone. The points increases
Yeah,
have
the
been
fucking in has been
partially
revoked.
undone. Correct. Yeah. The only thing that they really can't do right now is the big giant units to economize on the strats. But in every other way, they're firing off at pretty much the
Yeah.
power level they had.
So the
like
people
4
from
months
only
ago.
this edition, their exact fucking armies are working again.
Yep.
And then if
Yep.
you go back further, ninth, they had a heyday where, and most people are collectors. They keep their shit. So there's people with entire shelves of custodies from ninth. And there's
Well,
people with entire shelves of custodies from fucking late eighth when we started getting the Prospero burn box and stuff. Like people have been collecting the fuck out of this army since the models became available in plastic.
I don't.
And- no hobby lag, dude. Like that's what's really happening. Are they OP? We need more data. We don't believe they are.
They're good, but they're not quite the same as they were. I mean, yes, the devastating wound thing is great, but you can't the squads don't work quite the same composition wise. And actually, you can field smaller squads now. With the guard, you can field a squad of 4, which is kind of cool. Maybe not worth it because their whole trick is having the high OC and everything. But I do think, we kind of gotta like wait and see. I feel like, as I mean, Cherokee's this weekend, and there's a lot of events heading up to Adepticon at the end of March. So I think a lot of things are going to change very fast this spring when it comes to the meta. um,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
We also briefly in the pregame show, the after hours, we talked a little bit about the Satan and the Trajan designer notes. So if you guys want to go back
Yeah.
into the paywall or the VODs here on Twitch, depending on where you're listening to this, if it's on your drive to work or whatnot, you can go rehash that conversation as we were, trying to read these designer notes and commenting from chat in real time. But what we're going to do is we'll take a commercial break and then we'll come back and we're going to talk all about Adepticon, which I think you guys know. We've been doing this podcast for literally a decade, and we have talked about Adepticon for literally all 10 of those years. And so let's hear from the sponsors. We'll hit you up on that flip. And we're back. So if you made it this far into the podcast, maybe you're on your way back from work, because I don't know what the average commute is these days, 30 minutes. So
Sure.
not the whole podcast. So they probably had to wait till after work to hear this part. But so we got Matt. As he was introduced earlier, he is the top guy for the 40K event organization structure at Adepticon. And you guys know Adepticon is known for its 4-man team. That's its flagship event. That is what started the whole thing. The first people to bring this 4-man style of play together. In its inception, it was a 1-day 5-round event. It was insane. Or 1-day 4-round event. And then it became a 2-day 5-round event.
Yep.
And we had been the last time Rob and I played in that event. Was it even a 2-day event yet, Rob? I think we played 1 year in the 2-day format.
I think we did. That was like 2017. We got like best heretical.
Yeah,
the last time
that
we
tracks.
played?
Yeah, but we also we actually won the event once.
We did in
With Blood,
2011.
but it was still a 1-day 4-rounder.
That sounds right. Yeah,
That's
I think it was definitely
2011.
Because you could still do what do we call it? The Iron Man, where you played
Play
in the Gladiator, you played in team event, and you played in the singles.
and then you would have an overall. You are the Iron Man. You did the best amongst all of those. It was the gangster shit, dude. It's like 11 games in fucking 3 days. It was brutal.
I want to.
My first Adepticon was 2007.
Yeah. This is our 20th Adepticon, and I believe it's the 23rd year, maybe the 22nd year. So we missed 2 because of COVID, and then this is the 20th actual convention this year. So it's been around a long time, longer than about a year before I started actually even playing the game. So
It's
Jesus.
wild. It's wild to think about, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the event. Anyone who's first time listening to us, we get people cycling in, cycling out all the time. We got old heads in chat who know about it, but some people don't,
Yeah.
right? Some people don't understand that there are no conventions in Warhammer 40K the way you think a convention is. If you're like new to this hobby, you go to, any one of the other events we talk about. These
The
are
tournaments.
these are we call them cons. But if you've gone to like Gen Con or you've gone to Dragon Con or Mega Con, you're like, this is not a con. And you're right. You're right to feel that way. The closest thing we have to that is Adepticon. It is the only thing that is modeled and styled itself after like a Gen Con style experience, but exclusively about tabletop wargaming. So it
Right.
is truly magnificent to behold. We always tell people if you can only go to one, or this is your first time and you're trying to slap together a hobby budget, this is the one, right? I just came back from LVO. Matt was there. We talked. We hung out, which is, a completely different style of play, different experience, right? That's like that's the biggest singles event in mankind, right? That's what they are styled around, and they build a tiny convention experience around that, where that's not Adepticon. So anyway, that's the preamble. Anybody who hasn't heard about it before, Matt, tell us what you're excited about this year at Adepticon.
yeah, so I deal mostly with the 40K stuff. So obviously as the lead organizer, so it's shaping up to be a really successful year. Like every event sold out within like a day or two. Even the team tournament, which had been waning for a couple of years. I think I blame a lot of that on COVID, right? Not to like get the podcast flagged or whatever here for COVID info, but I think it's always hard to get a team of guys together, and then you get one or two guys who are nervous to travel and nervous to go to a convention of 8,000 people, and then your team falls apart. So I think that was a lot of it. But now that is mostly all behind us, and the game is it seems like in a good and improving state. The team
Yes.
tournament sold out in a day, and we have a wait list for the team tournament. Our wait list for the championships, our singles GT is full. Wait lists for all the other events are long. It's going to be a really successful year attendance wise, which is great. And then on the rules front, it's there are a couple of big changes. Obviously, it's our first time with the new edition, so that's exciting. Because of that, the team tournament, the format had to adjust some.
Oh yeah,
right? In particular, like the missions, because the 10th missions and 9th missions are totally different. So we're trying something new. We've worked in the tactical objective mechanics into the team play for this year. We've been play testing it a lot out where I live, and seems fun. I mean, people seem to be enjoying it, and I think it does a good job of capturing the flavor of playing with your buddy, right? And playing on the table together with your buddy. And then also just kind of the spirit of the way missions and 10th work. So I'm very excited to see all of that in action. And then, and feel free to interrupt me, because I'm very excited for this year. I could ramble on here for a while.
Keep going. You're a guest.
So attendance looks to be great. I'm excited for the new team tournament format. We have published that format, and we're committed to keeping that format live and up to date. What I think we're hoping to do is just make this something that people can practice and get excited for all year long.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? So I remember I've been playing long enough. I can remember when Adepticon was the center of competitive 40K. And I mean, this would have been like 12-ish years ago, really before Frontline was even a thing.
Yep.
And if you wanted to play competitive 40K, you played Adepticon missions with the Adepticon rules. And I don't know that we want to try and get back to that, but when it comes to the 4-man teams, we're the only people who do that, right? And so I
Right.
think that there's a niche in the market to
Yeah, people don't realize what you're talking about who are new. Like, so the idea of all of us playing the same missions we're playing modern right now. But
Mhm.
like how it used to be was every event was its own island.
Yeah.
It was its own fiefdom. You know what I'm saying? And
It
so
was hard to keep up sometimes.
because like the only way the rule book told you to play was like kill everyone, or kill like then it evolved to like kill points, right? It was like end of mission scoring, kill people. That we didn't have real last missions. We had like campaigns, dumb shit like that. But when it came to competitive play, you go to even like a local event. Most of the time, those dudes printed their own missions. They wrote their own shit down. And they said, "These are the missions, dog." And then it took a unifying structure like Adepticon, right? They gathered a little prestige, little awareness to them, and then suddenly it's like we kind of have like a new format to look up to, right?
Right.
This mission pack, and then over the years, more mission packs from different other big events that started becoming more and more regular staples of our annual touring as competitive players. It was like, oh, we played ATC missions, we played Adepticon missions, we played Nova
Mhm.
missions. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then eventually we got to a place where, and then GW left. They left us.
And there was the INAT.
For like 7 years, like they vanished from the scene.
Oh, it was
It's
longer than that.
Longer than that, you're right. So like a GT was a Games Workshop term. It wasn't a thing that we
Right.
did. It was Games Workshops put on grand tournaments, and then
Yep.
RTTs were rogue traded tournaments. And so that lexicon usage still sticks, but it means nothing now. So we took over. The people took over, and that's where these missions developed, right? Then eventually GW came back, right? A lot of things changed over that decade or plus, right? And now they're like, well, you guys did all the R&D for us, like all these missions for all these years. And, we used to play only battle points. Remember that, Matt? Like it was battle points.
Yeah.
And then it became win-loss, right? Then it got more and more competitive, more bracketed. And we grew up. We grew up as a competitive scene. And now that they're back, they've been able to look at all this data and they give us a pretty solid set of rules now. You look at the book and you look at the missions and you look at the tactical deck, you're like, this actually works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree totally, Kenny. And I think since GW has returned to running events and supporting the independent events, right, there's just been a real change inside the company. Like if you've only ever known Games Workshop over the last like 3 years when they have been running the US Open circuit, and they've been putting a lot of money and effort into matched play, that was not the GW even 5 years ago.
there's crickets out here, dude.
And yeah,
Mhm.
It was
Yeah, and-
borderline adversarial.
yes, yeah, for sure. And yeah, exactly what you said. I remember through 5th edition, which a lot of graybeards like us consider a sort of a lost golden era of competitive 40K.
Fourth edition is actually, since we're doing a history lesson, fourth edition is what started competitive play because they changed
Yeah.
terrain to where we could use felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
And,
it was
and Kirby
basically
said that was a
abstract.
mistake. I remember that was Kirby era, and Kirby was like, "That was the biggest mistake we made because now people think this is a competitive game and it's all about tournaments." Well, bro, we don't need like a bin of felt strips, and we can run an event now.
Yeah.
So that kicked it off, right? So we, even though the edition was kind of foobar because like they did all the trial vehicle rules and all this nonsense with transports, we could just play like crazy. So we did, and then when 5th dropped, they changed it to cinematic terrain. That was a huge departure. So it took a while for tournaments to catch up, but we were already doing the tournaments, and everyone is building like tournament philosophies and everything that they quickly adapted and made their own terrain sets to work with this new cinematic edition, which is also why like Leaf Blower Guard was like the bane of 5th edition for like the first year, because terrain hadn't been updated yet because we couldn't play in felt anymore, right? But by the time 5th stabilized, off of the back of what 4th did for us, got us out playing, right? But when 5th stabilized, it was the fucking golden era. Like the tournaments were all set up, we were playing, the game was easy. Like it was, you were right. But like just to give everyone how we got there, 4th edition terrain, Kirby. Thanks, dog.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and
But-
but remember, you
but-
probably remember if you think back far enough, you probably remember like getting down to the Model's Eye and looking through a bunch of bullshit. That was a totally new thing. And fifth
Well,
edition made that.
And you've been around Adepticon long enough. I'm sure you remember we've phased them out at this point, but we
The
used
old
to have,
the old busted Decepticon terrain.
well, we had these cactus pieces
Yep.
of like tree elements for like forest based, and they had toothpicks coming out
Yep.
of every which way, and you had to drop down to get like your cinematic true line of
Mhm.
sight, and you would always guaranteed stab yourself in the face on these
Yeah.
cactuses.
They
So,
were a public menace.
yeah. They're thankfully I don't think we have any of those anymore.
No, but then
But
that's also always a concern when you think of an event on the scale of Adepticon is like, okay, terrain completely changed. Shit.
Well, so this is a great segue into something else that I'm a couple of things here that I'm excited for. So I generally am a big fan of the unification of the tournament format, right? As somebody who used to have to I traveled around a lot in 5th and 6th edition, you know, there was Adepticon 40K, there was Young ITC 40K, there was Wargames Con 40K, there was Nova 40K, there was ATC 40K, there was WTC 40K, and everybody had different facts, different terrain, different it was not great. So I am super excited that it's not like that anymore. The game is portable. You can go across the country and you're playing the same game wherever you're at. So I think that that's generally a great thing. Related to that, we made a big announcement related to our terrain this year.
Oh.
So we are running Games Workshop layouts this year with like 1 or 2 nuances. So it's for us, you know, we have to put together 128 and change tables. And our aesthetic standards are pretty high. So that's not something that we can just change within a year, especially because we're all volunteers. We all have jobs. Like, we don't sell any of our terrain. We don't sell kits. We don't manufacture anything. This is all just
No,
a labor
Decepticon
of
is a
love.
self-contained business that you do all your business all year, and this is the day that you make your profits. Like, it's not a
Right.
It's always been
Right.
the convention is the business.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And a lot of the revenue and stuff's in like merchandise
Mhm.
and stuff.
Yeah,
which
like
you- which
at
you
the
could
event.
probably
Like
guess.
that's one of the reasons why it became what it is. It's like this event is the business.
Yep. 100%. So in order to switch to the GW layouts, we will have the correct bases for every table.
That's a
We're
monumental effort.
Yeah, we're
Hmm.
ironing out some of the bases might have, and a lot of GTs are doing this, might have a different element on them than just a ruin. So like you'll very likely see like a crate or an armored container on the small bases. There might be like some hills or something on a base. So we're ironing out how to play those, and we'll be publishing the rules for how to play those soon, like in the next week or two. But other than that, it will be GW terrain layouts, which I'm
So that's a, I mean
excited
that's a big
for.
announcement. People, I mean that's a subject that a lot of people have an opinion about.
It is, and it just being completely candid, I'm not saying anything that tournament regulars don't know. Our aesthetic quality of our terrain, I would put up against anybody. I don't think there's anybody better. I don't even think there's anybody as good. But I'm biased. The functionality of the terrain has been an issue as the additions have just continued on, right? Like there was a time where the terrain was highly functional. The
Yeah.
game keeps changing and evolving, and it's hard to keep up. So switching to the GW layouts, one, it allows us to just be part of pushing a unified way to play 40K, which I'm all for. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the terrain will be highly functional this year, right? It will play like the US Open events. It will there will be no open tables, no Planet Bowling Ball. You're going to get aesthetic, beautiful terrain, an awesome convention experience, and none of your games should be won or lost this year because you drew a wonky table. That's just not a thing that we're going to have anymore.
Yeah, the
So I'm super
standardization is good, and I like the push. Like with the terrain, right? It's a good mini topic, right? A lot of people on the internet these days, it's got to be like one camp or the other. All of us are like that. You know what I mean? And so the layout terrain versus the player optimized terrain is just the current flavor of like I'm pro this, anti that. Like I'm here to say, like, bro, this is not the first time. Like we have Adepticon had player place terrain once, way back in the day.
Like as recently as last year.
No, I'm talking about
player
like
place terrain.
2009.
Yeah,
like
we were one of the first, if I remember right.
Like as a matter of
Player
fact,
place
the
terrain.
GW handbook said that's how it worked back in the day. And then the rest of us said that's not how it works. This is stupid. And then we wanted to keep doing layout. But Adepticon was like, you realize like if we just put the items on the table and they place them, that's a lot less work for our staff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the rules exist. And so like to me as an event organizer, I will always do player plays.
Yeah.
Like I'm a
'Cause it's just
volunteer
easy.
tournament organizer. I'm not messing with it. Somebody already did all the work for me. I'm never going to go to a table and look at your terrain and make sure it's okay. I don't care. Like,
Well, let me tell you too. So my mind on player versus fixed has changed over the years. Let me give you sort of three considerations that I think in our current time and moment lend themselves towards fixed. So one, because GW has fixed maps that everybody knows, right?
Mhm.
Like the players can still set it up. Like I, as a judge, don't have to do it all the time, right? Like I could, in theory, just tell over the loudspeaker people how to set it up,
Mhm.
right? So that saves the judge's effort. It saves
realistically, it could be exactly the same thing. It could just be like, here, like they used to do that. Put a packet that each take two tables shared with what layout
Yep.
you're on, and it's up to you fucks to do it.
Yeah. So I think the way GW's done fixed with Leviathan, it is easier on judges. I think fixed saves time in the round, right? Which is just forever, every edition, finishing games is an issue,
Mhm.
right? So at 10 minutes, you don't have to spend placing terrain. Well, 10 minutes could be all of turn 5, right? So now we play turn 5 instead of talking it out or not getting it or whatever. So I think that leans towards fixed. And then the game is getting bigger. There are a lot of new people who are kind of middle of the pack players. And I think player place terrain can make feel bad's games for the new people, right? Because it's very,
No, you're right. If somebody
very
doesn't
possible
understand it or prepared for the event,
Mhm.
you
Uh,
lose the game before it
you
starts.
can you can, and that's why I subscribe to Brad Chester's philosophy on terrain. He says terrain's a crutch. Fuck terrain. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I'm like
Yeah.
baller. Like, he's like, so design your armies around that. No, I agree. Thing is, I don't care. Like, tell me the rules. I play the rules. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Is like, neither of these is better than the other, except
Right.
like where you want to be in your workload. Like
Yeah.
you're designing a workload around putting these items on the table and making sure that they're following a set of guidelines. That's it. Like, and I'm doing the same thing. I don't care. You tell me the rules. I play the rules. I review the packet before I go to the event, and I strategize my list. We've been doing this the whole time. To referencing our point earlier, back in the day, every event had a different rules packet, dude.
Yep.
We would look at those packets and be like, yo, this army I'm playing right now, this is not tight for this.
Nope.
And you'd come, and Adepticon is like one of the ones that notoriously, because we knew how their what terrain you guys had, we played a completely different type of armies at Adepticon historically than the
Yep.
rest of the
Than
events in
every
the year.
yeah. than
That's
every
where
other
remember
event.
Flyer and Spam that year that it became a thing. That's because they all knew they waited to play those armies at Adepticon because of the way their terrain worked. Death
Yeah.
Stars, like the old Death Star 40K with the bikes that would scout into the table. Adepticon was our best event for that, right? So you planned 4 different events and what they were publishing as their packet. You played different iterations of the same factions or different factions. There's nothing wrong with that. So like, just play whatever people are saying to play. Adepticon,
but
it's a big achievement that you guys are actually revamping the terrain for this
a lot of work.
to standardize it.
It is a lot. It is a lot of work. And again, I'm
Mhm.
out in Arizona, so that's all the Illinois crew. So nothing but props to all of them.
No doubt.
But I think Kenny, like you hit something real fundamental there. As the terrain for Adepticon sort of fell behind the functionality of the additions over time, it made Adepticon feel more and more like a one-off event.
Mhm.
And that
It hurt
sort
them.
of
It absolutely hurt them
did.
in the competitive in the eye of competitors in
Yes.
this
Mhm.
market. It hurt Adepticon's branding and their street cred.
100%, 100%. And like I said, our goal is not to get back to being like the mecca or center of all things competitive, but we always want to keep growing and we always want to get better. And being more relevant and being in more, making it easier for people to come to Adepticon is always better. Not having to tailor your army to be competitive on weird terrain is
Yeah.
better.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
So let's go out on this question from the chat. We don't always have chat questions, but this is a good one.
Oh, it was a good one.
1+ saves, right? So he came to we're always making fun of this guy, right? But so he came out to his first big GT ever, LVO. He was just there. He helped us with the Long War doubles at LVO, and so of course we're doing the Long War doubles at Adepticon, which is the biggest ballerest doubles we do, right? It's already 128 teams and a wait list, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is technically top. Like what, 128 times 2 players? That's already
Yeah.
one of the biggest GTs of the game, right? And that's just the doubles event now at Adepticon. That's crazy. So he's coming to Adepticon. This is his first Adepticon, and he asks, and this is to Matt, he says, as a first timer at Adepticon, what are things I need to know? Parentheses do ?
Oh, that's great.
He's definitely playing. I think he signed up for the championships, and I think he signed up for the doubles too. So
I would put a lull day in your schedule to just hang out. Because of the convention feeling and the convention vibe. I've gone years where I had tournaments every day. Some of the tournaments are like half a day. So like I had, 2 tournaments on those days. And I think you miss out. So I would, if you could, just schedule a day or a half a day to just go look at the Golden Demons, go like through the board gaming area and just meet some people. There will be people just painting out in the hallways. Go talk to them. Just like have a bunch of beers and hang around, right? I think that is something that you don't get at other tournaments, right? And you do get at the more convention feeling of Adepticon.
truth, I haven't signed up for an event in 2 years at Adepticon.
Well, you spend a whole day running one.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
one day.
that
Though.
definitely
That's
counts.
literally just one day, though, right? So I'm there for the early. What's the day we get in? Rob, we get in there early, right? Like what day?
I get there on Tuesday.
You get there
I think
Tuesday. When
I
do
think
I
you usually get there Wednesday?
So I get there Wednesday. Don't leave till Monday, dude. And I'm only running one event.
Yeah.
But I have come to the chill status level of there is so much to see and do
Yeah.
that I'm not even playing in a 40K event anymore. I haven't played in a 40K event for 2 years. This will be my 3rd. I'm just running the doubles and chilling, son. That's how much stuff there is to do at Adepticon. That you
Well, a lot
can
of-
literally not sign up to play anything.
Yeah.
and see and feel endlessly entertained.
And Saturday is generally the biggest day there. Like a lot of people come in just with the 1 day pass just to go to the vendor hall or take some classes or
Yeah,
something.
I do, and they have a huge pickup game upstairs. Like they have a huge run of
Yep.
tables. So I do that. I play some pickup games, no doubt. But like I mean, it's that's so Matt's advice is solid. Like, don't try to pack every day. Like, pick a day and be
No.
like, I'm just gonna see shit.
Plus the food.
Oh, and a
Like,
good day to see shit is if you're not playing. Good point, Rob. You got to go to Portillo's at least once.
Yeah.
But
Giordano's.
Giordano's, I mean, we got sage
Lumin-
advice on that. If you're going to go to
Ah.
Giordano's, remember 2-slice limit or you will shit the bed. That is a standing
Illuminati's.
standing tradition here. But the 4-man team, if you haven't been, is you're going to see some shit you've never seen before.
Yes.
So you want to make sure you have an opening to go witness the team displays.
Oh yeah, the showcase at night on Saturday.
'Cause-
Saturday night.
Yeah. So this is a perfect segue into the one thing that I really, really wanted to hit. I have to pick my son up from baseball in 10 minutes, unfortunately.
Good.
One thing I absolutely want to hit before I go is the Army Showcase. So the 4-man team tournament is really heavy on the hobby scores, and people go all out, and the displays are awesome because
Mhm.
one, you've got 4,000 points of Army instead of like your normal 2, and you've got 4, 5, sometimes 6 people all working on it together. And it like the culture that has developed and evolved around that is amazing. So you can walk through the 40K hall on Saturday morning and see all the stuff set up. But what we do is the best of it, we set up in the main hallway of the convention Saturday night for just a display showcase. And that display showcase is just getting better and more amazing every year. So
Mhm.
last year, we opened it up to Age of Sigmar. Some of the Age of Sigmar guys are doing amazing stuff. And this year, we're opening it up to any team event across the entire con. So, like the question about like what should I do? What should I plan on doing? Schedule a half an hour Saturday evening, like around, after dinner, maybe like 9 o'clock, to just walk through the main hallway, and you'll see like some of the best.
You will see
hobby
shit
stuff.
you what you're imagining right now is not
Mhm.
enough. Like, you don't
Mhm.
understand. I've seen a standing Egyptian sarcophagus as
True.
a display board for a Thousand Suns 4-man team. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand what we're talking about. Like, if you just like, it's not just looking at some armies looking sick on the table.
The displays are what does it.
I've seen a
think.
full scale orc rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's yeah, it's
40K
phenomenal.
scale orc rock.
There's nothing like it. I think it's the best part of the convention, and we're only making it bigger and better, right? So we're expanding the showcase, making it bigger. We're going to have an award for the best in convention this year for the best display. So that
Oh
will
wow.
get everybody hyped, and
exciting.
everybody bringing their best game. And I think it's great. I spent many years ignoring my wife and children, making my own displays, trying to compete and just get into that showcase. And so I got a soft spot in my heart for it. And this is just truly magnificent stuff.
Top tier. Thanks, Matt, for joining us tonight. Go pick up your son from baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stop
I do
ignoring
gotta-
your wife and son.
Well, is there any dire questions or things I can answer in just a couple of minutes before I bounce? No?
Rob, you got anything for him to comment on?
I don't have any no, I don't really have anything. I guess we'll follow up with him personally for what we need to do for our terrain for the event, but that's not a public thing.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, I just want to say thank you for having me. It was great. For everybody watching,
bro.
unfortunately, like I said, like all the 40K stuff at Adepticon, the wait lists are already full. But if you live anywhere close, come by and check it out. There's nothing like it, and I guarantee you'll have a great time, even just looking at stuff, and you'll want to get in on the action for next year. So, Kenny and Rob, I'll be seeing you guys in a month.
Yeah, bro.
All right,
Absolutely,
gotta
brother.
bounce, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, Rob, you want to take us out of this one?
Yes, absolutely. So that is it for this one. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you head on over to thelongwar.net for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.
All right, let's get up some raids.
Yeah. What are we looking at? The Warhams channel.
All right, guys, we're about to set up some Twitch raids. I'm gonna raid off a next level painting, and Rob is gonna raid off a Long War.
Yeah, I'll get the Long War here.
Mobile soup kitchen. Crater dashboard. They changed the raid layout a little bit.
I just type in the hard code.
Oh man, it's so gangster. I think Rottweiler's on. Let's go send some love over to him.
Okay.
They've got a new like launching mechanism for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you come from the old days when everything was hard line. Okay, I'm setting up a raid to go see Rottweiler right now.
There we go. I don't know. It works the same for me.
No, it works. It's like back in the old days, you had to do the keyboard commands. You had to, but now we have like a control panel and stuff.
Wow, that's fancy.
Thanks, guys, for kicking it with us tonight. About to boost out. Let me check my text actually, see why it's into right now.
I just rated him.
Because this is where I take a quick break, bring some food to Wyatt, and then get back and do my edits.
Hey, what time is it out there? It's like 7.
Just about 9.
Oh, you're only an hour behind.
It's only an hour, yeah.